Hi guys. A lot of new members in the group, newcomers to Gene Keys and Human Design, and like I always say, it's a group where we are using many different lenses, many different systems to look at life and what I call the matrix of life, which are all these pieces, kind of a cake, and then you have all these pieces where you kind of navigate and often want to create a balance, right? To not have all the eggs in one basket or in one piece, but we want to look at life as this combination of so many things, and we have periods when maybe we're focusing more on one, maybe our work or maybe our relationships or maybe our health or spirituality, and it's kind of that beautiful choice that we have, and also sometimes the choicelessness of actually having to focus on something, although we might not want to, when somebody close to us dies, or maybe when we lose our job and we have to look for a new one, or maybe when we feel called to change our life and really just everything kind of falls apart. So this group has a lot to do with that kind of support, and more than support, maybe it is inspiration, because we are on social media, and it's kind of it's so valuable to have support that is really in aura support, where we're together and can really be live with each other with touch and care and all that. But anyway, somehow social media is something that can really help us and inspire us, and also somewhere we can go on a daily basis and kind of check in and get a little bit of an inspiration or an idea from somebody else, and also engage in some of the courses and the offerings and opportunities that are posted in the group and in the communities that are linked to this group. So I thought that I was going to do a little bit of a walkthrough for everybody that are new to Gene Keys and Human Design. It's not that these systems are more important than any other systems. It's more that what I've noticed is that when we have clarity about our own blueprint, which can be done with astrology, or Gene Keys, or Human Design, or even better, all three of them, then we kind of have the foundational understanding of how our blueprint looks and how it kind of usually walks in the world. And then we can see if we're living like that, or if we are living like that, also in fear, or if we're living like that in freedom. So it kind of just gives us a reference map on how we are navigating and living. And I like what Richard Rudd was just posting in this group this week. It's like, it's not set in stone, and it's also often better to look at it as like a path or a journey than a map or blueprint that is fixed. And that's also what I'm reflecting in the name of the group. It's like a living matrix. It's not something stagnant. It's not something set in stone. It's like everything can change. Everything is possible. And the more we know ourselves, usually the more courage we have to also just allow ourselves to be that in the world, to not feel like we have a division from what's on the inside and what we actually express on the outside emotionally, and with all our expressions, which is which are all the four levels of what we are: the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the spiritual. So this group is also really a lot about not combining, but just seeing those four layers in everything that we are, and not leave one of the layers out. Become really, really honest, radically honest in those four layers, and the expression of including all those four layers, because we can't not exist separately on these things. They're always woven together. So what I wanted to do is a little bit of a walkthrough, and see, like, if you're completely new and you want to have your blueprint, and you also maybe want to post your charts in the group to have some comments, or I might do a mini reading. I'm grouping sometimes also. I'm going to do more of that readings to kind of see, kind of compare, but more like see the dynamics than comparing. This is this is white, this is that. More like seeing the dynamics in different profiles or aura types or things like that, to kind of just like, kind of taste them and see how it works out for each one of us. So the first thing we want to do is to go to the free profile softwares or creators. And there's so many, for human design, there's so many different out there. And if I share my screen with you guys, this one. The one that I use for human design is often, the easiest one is My Body Graph. And then you would just go to new, and you would say new body graph, and you would just put in your name, your date of birth, your time of birth, and your place of birth. That's what you need for those systems that we are using. It's the same for astrology, human design, and the Gene Keys. And then you just save it, and you will have created a graph like this. And then you will know, because we kind of like to play with this in the group. Somebody will ask you, what is your strategy, or what profile are you? And then you have like this little list of all these things. What is your incarnation cross? These are the 4 most important gates. That's the numbers on the top of the chart. And there's also this other one that is called Genetic Matrix, that both of them have like extended versions and free versions, so that you can create, in this one you can include astrology, which is really cool. So here I have mine, and you can also see that the basic one has much more in it. You can see a lot more of the things that you don't have in the basic My Body Graph. And it has astrology, so you can create different charts that also have your astrology, which is quite cool. I think this is the one. So here you would see also the signs and the houses, and you have a little bit of Chinese astrology and all these things. This is a fun one to play with. And so these are some of the possibilities for human design. And then the Gene Keys are on the new Gene Key websites, and that's just one place, easy to remember. So Gene Keys free profile, you can Google, or just, it's genekey.com/free profile. And the same thing, name, email, birth date, and you actually don't even have to fill in your email because it's just if you want to have a newsletter, which is actually really cool. So you create that, and then this is quite cool. So maybe let us create something here. So let's do, this is something I've showed before, but I guess I'm just doing it again. So just gonna see something that comes out. So today we are on the 25th. It doesn't really matter. What we put in November 2019, and it's 5 p.m. here. Okay, and then create. So this is just to show you again, if you want to post it in a group. So then you have a chart that is created, and you only just basically have your gene key in each sphere. And I think, yeah, it's the gift frequency. So for me to be able to just look at the chart and really just know it right away, I kind of need a little bit more information. That's how, that's how it kind of works for me to see a chart and to be able to like read it. So I like to have the lines so that we see in what flavor we live out each key. So here's like the flavor of love and community. Here's the flavor of simplicity. Here's the flavor of, having a mind that is really just brilliant and quick. And then I kind of also like to see what are the pathways. How do we walk through the golden path? And then now we don't have arrows anymore. Before we used to have arrows between them, but actually you go from life's work, evolution, radiance, purpose, attraction, IQ, EQ, SQ, vocation, and then this kind of quantum pathway in the Pearl sequences. You can kind of go all the ways around. And soon there's going to be another triangle here. You can see that on some of the pictures on the website. Actually, I think it's here. Yeah, so you're going to see that there is like a quantum formation. There's like a Merkaba in the middle. So that's what was going to be added here soon. And then we can also just add all the different frequency bands. So we say that nothing is set in stone, and we can live everything in like a frequency band, from a very low fear frequency to a much higher love frequency, or contraction and expansion, whatever polarities you kind of want to use in that sense. We see that all the three words that says over the line or the flavor go from the shadow to the higher frequencies. So force, impatience, exhaustion, dishonesty, division, purposelessness. You see all these on the bottom. And then on the highers, you will have strength, intimacy, resolve, totality, naturalness. So it's actually a frequency band where you can see where you are. And many times you will see that if you are in the shadow in one of the spheres, you're probably going to be in the shadow in many of the spheres. And when you feel like you're actually, finding some guidance, you're going to see that you're just like kind of popping up to the next frequency in many other spheres too. So that's the golden path, kind of showing you as well how you can kind of observe and sometimes even choose to kind of jump up and change your frequency. And I get many questions like, oh, what if I have the same key more than once? And here we can see that we have the 40 twice, we have the 10 twice. So these are things too, like when we have the same activation twice, of course, can be something to look at. When are you tapping into naturalness in your life? Are you finding the solutions that are good for you, or are you falling down to exhaustion? So things like that you can just actually, without knowing anything, you can start to actually look at your own chart. And then you can also look at it from sphere to sphere. So here you would see just the activation sequence, the first sequence. Here you would see just the Venus, and then you are even going to see that the name of the sphere that is vocation in the complete chart is going to be core, or core wound in the Venus. And then you can look at the pearl, and you see here it's vocation. So it changes a little bit, and it can be easier to kind of just see them. If you print them out, for example, you can print them out by spheres, so you can write around and all that. So, and here are also, the links to if you want to do the self-study course. And there is a little bit of like an introduction how to read it as well, which is also posted in the group, so you can kind of go there as well. And there's also one pager. So when I was saying the cross, or the four most important gates on the top, they are the same. The four most important are the same in Gene Keys and Human Design. So then you can just go and read this page where it says 34, 20, 59, and 55. This is, if somebody that is born today will have those ones, because actually we have the sun that is in that gate right now. And I've shown this before. I can just do it quickly again so that we all understand. So I'm going to show you exactly that. This is interesting. They have like added new things that I haven't seen before. So here what we're looking at is oh no, so this is not just now. This is actually my birth chart. Interesting. So what we have here is the sun when I was born, and then the earth on the other side. We have the earth 3 months before when our soul incarnated, and the same opposition, sun, earth. And that it becomes those four most important keys. You see that we have the astrological wheel, and around it we have all the gene keys, all the gates, or all the hexagrams, depending what system you're using. So that cross that comes from where the sun was in the moment you were born, and then consequently the earth and the sun 3 months before, that becomes that cross. Your personality, your soul, the most important activations. So that's also something to know, why Human Design and Gene Keys are the same. They're exactly the same activations that you will have mapped out in a little bit of a different way, and also a different way of explaining them. So what I often say to kind of, it's not really simplify, because I really feel like this is kind of how it works. So for me, human design is kind of very much the more left brain and masculine way, a little bit more rigid. It gives you, like I said, the strategy, the type, the aura, and all that. And it kind of, it gives you kind of some reference to actually be able to make decisions in your life. A little bit like kind of the father who kind of, is there, who kind of guides you in that way. And then the gene keys for me are much more feminine and poetic, and they are like all embracing. Like they say, there is a shadow, but there is also a gift, and whatever is your imprint or whatever is your story, there's always like another side of that too. There's always learning. There's always an opening and expansion that comes from that. So it's much more all embracing, feminine way, and it's not rigid. And that's also what Richard says, and what he was posting this week is like, be aware of the language that we're using as well. So for me, the Gene Keys are much more like a storyteller, that kind of feminine shamanic storyteller. And there is also something beautiful with human design, because there's the precision of each gate, of each line, of everything is like very specific and precise. And sometimes to use that can also kind of blow your mind away of how accurate it actually is. We could also say, this is kind of a little bit more out there, but the human design are like, taking us to kind of to live our life here in like 3D in an easier way, I would say. It kind of helps you to make a decision, help you understand who you are, helps you understand, how to be your true self and not in your conditioning. And that there it kind of stops there. That's what you need to know for this experiment in this incarnation. But when we look at the Gene Keys, they are taking us further away. They are taking us to the more subtle planes. They are looking at all the layers, especially the spiritual layer. So if we have, like I was saying in the beginning, the physical, the emotional, the mental, the spiritual, and beyond. So it's like a journey, not only a journey in your life, but a journey beyond. So people that are more into like spirituality and the kind of for me, it's a little bit of like the hopefulness that, we're going somewhere, we are evolving, and there's a vision, and, we're all creating it and all that. It's like, I get a little bit more of like flesh on the bones somehow with the Gene Keys, because it's kind of more welcome in one way, I feel, to really be playing in those realms. And then at the same time, there's the mysticism and the mystical way and the godheads and all those courses that Ra, the founder of human design, also did, that are extremely deep and like extremely mystical. And it has to do, it's like cosmology, it has to do with the cosmos and where the soul comes from and where it goes and all that. And what I can feel is that many times people don't go in so much into that. So that's the kind of sometimes like actually the misunderstanding about human design, that it's rigid, but actually like the higher octave of that masculine is really just really, really big and really, really, really beautiful as well. So I guess that both systems have a lot to do with like the depth of which you go into them. And both system, I would also say, can help you both on a more superficial level, and you can dive, so deep. I guess that my advice is to make the charts, to go into them, as superficial or as deep as you want, and post them in the group and interact with others, and just actually start to experiment. Like, start to experiment. That's what the founder of human design was saying. It takes like 7 years for all the cells in your body to change. So basically, it's going to take you to not fall, fall down in your conditioning and just kind of function autopilot with all the pressure that you have from other people and from your past and for your for your ancestors and everything that is there kind of telling you what the way to live is. When you don't listen to yourself, to really strip that away is a long process that could actually be compared with changing all the cells in your body. So kind of knowing that these systems are not a quick fix. It can give you like a blueprint of how your imprint looks that is never going to change. That's why it's timeless. That's why it's beautiful. And at the same time, it's not something that you can just click your fingers and tomorrow you're going to be able to just live out that blueprint in the highest frequency. That's why I feel like the communities like this, where we come together, and some of us, we come from completely different backgrounds, and some of us want to go really deep through these systems. And some of us, you know, kind of go with life and learn that way. So there is no right or wrong. I'm more just providing a platform for exploration and for sharing, and to know that, you know, in the ups and downs of life, we're not alone. And when we get out of balance in the life matrix, and one of these parts kind of take over or get completely forgotten, like a community like this can actually help us to kind of come back to your center. And very, you know, very simplified, and at the same time really core of what I am sharing, is that it's always about coming back to that center, coming back to the core, coming back to our grounding, coming back to our body, you know. So somehow it's like it is simple in one way, and everything that I feel like I want to be shared and post in the group is to take us back to that center of inner truth and integration, so that we can be more of ourselves and experience more of ourselves in this lifetime, you know. So I hope that was helpful, and please, you know, comment and post and let me know what is helpful for you guys. Thank you.